ground and walks the land beneath the spirits who follow him. The Forsaken One. Soon the day fades and then it appears in the wasteland. I'm back from the grave again tonight.
The first episode opens with our lead, Megumi Shimizu, hiding in the woods from her villagers, who are actively seeking her. Scenes shift to a few days ago, when we see Megumi wandering through the fields of her village, Sotoba. She is criticized by the village's milkman and his wife for her bold sense of fashion. There, another villager named Takeko arrives with the gossip about the townspeople, who are destroying their Jizo statues. Not giving a damn, Megumi walks away from the gossiping villagers and expresses her hate for the regressive village she lives in. She begins daydreaming about how she will move into a big city after her graduation and get discovered as a musician. She narrates that the only thing that keeps her going in this village is a boy named Yuki, whom she has a crush on to the point that she stalks him from the bushes outside his house. Her daydream comes to an end when a smoke-releasing tractor passes by her. Scenes cut to a few days later, in which we get to see Megumi's village's dark side. 2 cops are called in the Yamari area, where 2 decayed corpses have been discovered. Their witness is one of Sotoba's junior monks, named Seishin. One of the police officers is Takami, who takes Seishin's statement, which reveals that the corpses were a couple whose nephew and neighbor had also died mysteriously. Out of curiosity, Seishin asks Takami about the causes of these people's deaths. Takami concludes that the people have died of natural causes. Still not settled by this conclusion, Seishin visits the town's doctor, Toshio Ozaki, who reveals that the aunt's body is fresh compared to the others, which means that she was living with the corpses, who have been fully rotten and decayed. 2 days later, we see Megumi heading to school with her friend, Kaori, and her brother, Akira. She leaves them behind as she's in a rush and comes across Yuki near the bus stop. She badly wishes to interact with him, but is overwhelmed to approach him. Scenes abruptly shift to the next night, in which the town's restaurant owner, Kanami, is seen waking up from sleep due to a loud vehicle honking outside her restaurant. The man is looking for directions, so she angrily helps him. As a few days pass, some villagers gather at the stationery shop to gossip about some new people moving into Sotoba. Megumi eavesdrops on them and starts daydreaming about the new residents, hoping that they're rich and they adopt her. This time, Kaori breaks her bubble and tells her more about the new residents. Megumi decides to approach them first, so she goes up the hill, only to realize that someone's watching her. She suddenly falls to the ground when a man named Seishiru walks out of the new mansion. That day, Megumi doesn't return home, so villagers interrogate one another and whip up a search party to look for her. Megumi's crush, Yuki, also joins the search team. The search goes on for a while, and the people find Megumi lying catatonic in the woods. They find her suffering from anemia and some insect bites on her body. The next day, while Megumi is being treated at Dr. Ozaki's clinic, Kaori visits the area where Megumi was last seen. There, Kaori spots a woman from the lumber mill and returns to check up on Megumi, who's already having nightmares about the mill woman.
I know more about it than
You have 10 seconds to get more snacks and like the video. You shouldn't play with terror.
2 days later, Dr. Ozaki receives a call regarding Megumi, who has died all of a sudden. The second episode opens with Dr. Ozaki suspecting Megumi died of a cause other than anemia because he thinks mere anemia can't kill a person. Following his suspicions, Ozaki asks Megumi's parents for permission to perform an autopsy on her. Still mourning, the father refuses. As the word gets out about Megumi's funeral instead of her autopsy, junior monk Seishin is called to perform her rites. As he drives to the funeral in his town car, he forms a theory straight out of his overstimulating thoughts and believes that the village is surrounded by death, as it loves chopping down its trees to make grave markers for the dead people. On the other hand, Yuki also walks his way to Megumi's funeral. He comes across the village's nurse, Ritsuko, who works in Ozaki's clinic. She is walking her dog when she bumps into Yuki and causes him to hit the ground. She helps him get back up in an apologetic manner, after which Yuki stops to chat with her regarding Megumi's sudden demise. The nosy villagers spot them and weave nasty rumors about the two having an affair. Scenes switch to Kaori, who finally musters the courage to check Megumi's room after her death. Under her table mat, she finds a greeting card addressed to Yuki, which Megumi could never relay to Yuki. When Kaori reads it and finds out that Megumi was in love with Yuki, she breaks down in tears. In the meantime, Yuki hangs out with the nurse by the vending machine, and Seishin carries out Megumi's funeral. Yuki arrives at the funeral with the nurse and leaves right after the prayers. Kaori spots him leaving, so she stops him to hand Megumi's greeting card to him, in which she has expressed his feelings for him. Yuki coldly refuses to take the card, claiming that he was never close enough to Megumi. Suddenly, Kaori envisions herself at a random funeral. When the people dig a grave for the dead, Kaori falls into the endless pit of the grave, making her question if she will end up dead like Megumi, too. After the concerning vision, she returns to the actual funeral and leaves Megumi's card with her. The day ends with Yuki regretting the choice of words he used for Kaori. The next day, Megumi's blood test results show up at Ozaki's clinic, revealing that Megumi died of anemia. However, the anemia type remains uncommon, and so her cause of death remains unknown as well. In the following days, more people start to show up dead, which grabs the attention of Ozaki, who wishes to meet the latest victim, but the victim refuses to see him. The victim tells Seishin and his people that the disease once struck the village 20 years ago. On the other hand, Yuki keeps feeling like someone's watching him because he was aware of Megumi when she used to watch him secretly. Yuki shuts the window, but the lingering feeling of being watched doesn't go away. The scenes once again shift to Dr. Ozaki and Seishin, who visit the town's councilman, Ishida. Together they discuss the recent death rate, which has shockingly spiked within a few days. Ozaki suspects that an epidemic is spreading, so they decide to investigate the real cause of death. Soon, a patient with early symptoms arrives at Ozaki's clinic, and on Yuki's side, he keeps imagining that Megumi is watching him from behind the bushes and obsesses over her. Episode 3 begins with junior monk Seishin writing a fiction novel about the village's dead people who rise from their graves and bring carnage to the village. He ends up titling his novel Shiki, which translates to Corpse Demon. On the side plot, Yuki walks to school instead of taking a bus. On his way, his best friend, Toru, stops by in a car. Toru is joined by the nurse Ritsuko, who asks Yuki to join them in their unnamed expedition. So he hops in their car instead of attending school. Together they drive to a neighboring village called Mizobi. On their way, they offer a lift to 2 seniors from their school. One of them happens to be Masao, a peculiar boy who dislikes Yuki. Hence, he hesitates getting favors from him or his friends. In Mizobi, Yuki and Toru hang out over trivial tasks and catch up on their lives. At one point, Yuki fixes his bike and tries to return to his village on his own, but his bike tire gets flat as soon as he sits on it. He ends up getting back in the car with Toru and Retsuko. Toru drops Retsuko off at the clinic, where she puts on her medical clothes and begins working on the patient's test results on Dr. Ozaki's command, who still can't find a source for the anemia-afflicted victims. On the other hand, we get to see more of Masao and his peculiarities. He shows up at a library, where he displays signs of misconduct with the librarian. He also resents a kid and his mother because he's estranged from his family due to reasons unknown. He recalls proposing to the kid's mother in the past and getting rejected by her, for which he hates her. but doesn't acknowledge that it was his freaky demeanor that drove her away. Back on Ozaki's side, he is called by his childhood friend, Mikiyasu, whose wife, now, has anemia. Mikiyasu worriedly tells Ozaki that Nao's condition has worsened in a short amount of time. Under observation, Ozaki asks Mikiyasu if he or Nao has been in contact with anyone else. He quickly remembers being in physical contact with the new residents during their village's Bon festival.
Look how pretty.
Ozaki's suspicions about the new residents are confirmed, whom he found creepy already. Despite knowing Nao can die of anemia any minute, Ozaki assures Mikiyasu of the opposite. Meanwhile, Seishin visits the new residents. He meets the woman of the house who goes by the name Tsunako. Tsunako praises his essays, revealing she's a fan of his writing. Tsunako notes scars on Seishin's wrists and comes to know that he's attempted suicide in the past. The next day, Nao passes away. While the villagers spread the word of her death, Masao arrives at Turu's place to tell him about her death. There, he becomes furious to see Yuki hanging at his place. He throws a fit and tries to hurt Yuki, but Turu breaks up their fight, since he's their mutual friend. Later, Turu walks to the nearest shop for a drink, but ends up bumping into the new resident's steward, Tatsumi. As a courteous gesture, he invites Tatsumi to his place. Here, the episode ends. I'm sure you like the story recap. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps like that. Thanks. If you found out your neighbor was a Shiki, would you help them or expose them? Be honest, could you live with that choice?